In this video, I'm going to rank 15 players in order from least to most likely to be traded by the NBA trade deadline on Thursday, February the 8th. Coming in at number 15.
Ball fake. Williams recovered and LaVine got the steal.
Flight 8.
Showtime!
Oh. Did you get your ticket? Or did you miss that flight?
The two-time former All-Star that's averaged over 24 points per game the past 4 seasons is still only 29 years old, but hasn't been able to lead the Chicago Bulls team very far. Chicago at the moment is looking to sell, but his value is very low, maybe too low for Chicago to actually sell. This season with LaVine, Chicago is 5 games under 500, and without LaVine, Chicago is actually 2 games over 500. When you take a look at the advanced stats, Chicago's defensive rating is pretty much the same with and without Zach LaVine on the court. However, their offensive rating is actually almost 5 points better with Zach LaVine off the court. This year, Zach LaVine's earning over $40 million and still has 4 years and $178 million remaining on his contract. Most teams are shying away from taking that type of salary on, so unless a team like the Lakers, for example, gets desperate and feels like they need to acquire a scorer like Zach LaVine, we probably won't see him move at this year's trade deadline. Number 14.
Cody Zeller, offensive rebound. Bridges! Oh my God!
What?
Since returning from a suspension related to a domestic violence plea, Miles Bridges has proven to still be a valuable asset on the court, averaging over 20 points per game and 7 rebounds this season. Last offseason, he signed his qualifying offer, so right now his salary is pretty low. He's currently only making $7.9 million, which makes it easier financially for teams to acquire him. But he does have the ability to veto any trade. And even if he's willing to waive his trade veto, teams may still be hesitant to give up a lot for him because he'll also be a free agent after the season, and because he's playing on his qualifying offer, his bird rights actually don't transfer with him either. So if he is able to command his true market value despite his off-court issues, his new team won't have much of an advantage in re-signing him. Since his new team would only have his non-bird rights, meaning they'd be able to pay him up to $9.5 million, which is 120% of his current salary, that further complicates any trade scenario where a team is looking to acquire Bridges as more than just a rental beyond this season. Number 13.
He has gotten downhill every time he's wanted to.
Barnes finds the mismatch. What a move inside! Oh, Harrison Barnes hung in the air and finished.
At 31 years of age, Harrison Barnes is in his 6th season with Sacramento and his 12th season overall. His current contract still has 3 years and $54 million remaining on it. This season, he's earning $17 million, and that's followed by 2 seasons at $18 million and $19 million. This season, Harrison Barnes is having a bit of a down season. He's averaging just under 11 points per game, which is about 4 points per game less than he was averaging last season. The most likely scenario for Harrison Barnes to be traded would be if Sacramento is trying to send out enough salary to take back a player with a larger salary, like a Pascal Siakam, for example. However, Harrison Barnes would unfortunately be viewed as a negative asset at his current contract, so he'd likely need to be packaged with other players or draft capital. Number 12, Malcolm Brogdon. This past offseason, Malcolm Brogdon was traded to the Portland Trail Blazers. He's having a solid season, averaging just under 15 points a game and just over 5 assists per game on over 41% shooting from 3. But at 31 years old, he's just not part of the Portland Trail Blazers timeline. He has 2 years remaining, earning $22.5 million each season, and would be a valuable asset on most playoff teams. Number 11.
Watson on the switch. Now draws the double. Gives it up. Dinwiddie for 3. And it goes down! Back-to-back game winners by Spencer Dinwiddie. He did it Sunday in Boston. He does it tonight in Brooklyn at the gun. 113-111.
At 30 years of age and on an expiring $20.4 million contract, Spencer Dinwiddie could be an interesting target for a lot of playoff teams. This season, he's averaging 13 points per game and 6 assists per game. Dinwiddie and the team have both been struggling lately, but he has proven in spurts that he can still be a good scorer and facilitator. Dinwiddie likely won't command a lot on the trade market, which should make him an attractive player for most playoff teams looking to add depth, even though he's having a down season. Number 10, Davis Bertans. Averaging just under 4 points per game, the most interesting thing about Davis Bertans is the team that he plays for, the Oklahoma City Thunder. You see, this season, Davis Bertans is earning $17 million, and next season, he only has $5.25 million guaranteed. So for the Oklahoma City Thunder, if they want to get aggressive at the trade deadline, then this salary is going to become valuable for them when they package it with draft capital to help them add another piece to an already impressive team. Number 9.
Here we go. Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield! Oh, boy! The Kings come to Motown and they steal the game! They steal the game! Buddy Hield stuns the crowd here in Detroit!
At 31 years of age, Buddy Hield was recently benched by the Indiana Pacers and has taken a step back this season, only averaging about 11 points per game. However, the reason that Buddy Hield may be traded is because he's earning $19.3 million and is on an expiring contract. The Indiana Pacers are going to have a lot of cap space this offseason, and they may get aggressive at the trade deadline to improve their roster. In the event that they do want to acquire a significant player like a Pascal Siakam that they've been linked to, they're likely going to need to move Buddy Hield's contract in order to send out enough salary to acquire a player like a Siakam or another star making a significant salary. Number 8, Kelly Olynyk. Currently in his 11th season, he's still a solid rotation player. He's going to be 33 in April and may not be a part of any team's long-term plans, but being on an expiring $12.2 million contract, he could be a valuable rental. He's a big man that can still shoot 40% from 3, help space the floor, and can fit pretty seamlessly on most playoff teams. But Kelly Olynyk's on the Utah Jazz, and most people don't know what the Utah Jazz are going to do at the trade deadline. Are they going to be buyers or are they going to be sellers? You see, Utah started out 7-16, but have recently become one of the hottest teams in the NBA, winning 14 of their last 18 games, including a current streak that's seen them beat Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Denver, Toronto, and the Lakers. So time will tell how they're going to manage their assets, including Kelly Olynyk. Number 7, Alec Burks. At 32 years of age and on an expiring $10.5 million contract, Alec Burks could still be a solid rotation player for a contender looking for some additional shooting. He's currently averaging 11 points per game and shooting 37% from 3. Number 6, Bojan Bogdanovic. At this point, it really can't get any worse in Detroit. They've won 1 of their last 36 games. So hanging on to a soon-to-be 35-year-old veteran just doesn't make sense if they can flip him for draft capital. They should have traded him last year when his value was higher, but better late than never. They have to move him now. Now, they did just recently make a trade moving Marvin Bagley, which helped them open up more cap space this offseason. So Detroit could convince themselves that they can retool the roster quickly this offseason, but I think they'd be best served to sell Bogdanovic now and get what they can for him because he'll be 35 going into next season and he just doesn't fit their timeline. Number 5.
Half on Siakam. Siakam on the drive, raises up, slams it home, and it's a 1-point game.
Ever since OG Anunoby was traded, the rumor mill has been circling around Pascal Siakam. Lots of interested teams, but Toronto's front office has proven that they won't sell if they don't get exactly what they want back. And Toronto can still pay him the most money this offseason and are the only team that can give him 5 years. So they can still try to re-sign him and then figure out a trade for him down the road if they don't like the offers they're getting. However, they would be risking potentially losing him for nothing like they did Fred VanVleet last season if they go that route. And Pascal Siakam would likely be one of the most coveted free agents on the board for the teams that could have significant cap space this summer, including Philadelphia, Detroit, Indiana, and Orlando. Number 4.
This winning streak in the NBA currently. Moody right down the lane. Oh my goodness.
Golden State is in dire straits. They're currently outside of the play-in spots and sliding. To make matters worse, they're also currently $43 million over the tax line, and as a repeater tax team, they're projected to have a tax bill of $195 million. They have to shake up the roster, and they certainly will, but who they move is up for debate. They obviously won't move Steph, they're resistant to moving rookie Brandon Przemski, and would prefer not to move Jonathan Kuminga. That leaves Moses Moody as a nice young expendable asset that hasn't really gotten many opportunities in Golden State. So his agent, Rich Paul, will likely push to get him somewhere he can get more playing time. So over the next few weeks, Golden State will likely trade at least one of Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, or Jonathan Kuminga. But when they do, I'm expecting Moses Moody to find his way into that trade as well. Number 3, Tyus Jones. 27 years old and on an expiring $14 million contract, Tyus Jones is going to be an attractive asset around the league. He's currently a starter for the Washington Wizards and averaging 12.5 points per game, along with 5.5 assists per game. If traded to a playoff team, he'd become arguably the best backup point guard in the league. Problem is, Tyus Jones has apparently made it known that he wants to remain a starter, and most playoff teams already have an established point guard. Number 2.
They work it to the corner, and Murray shot clock down to 3. Murray's got to hoist it, and Murray throws it right in the face of his former teammate in San Antonio, Derek White, and then he pointed at him as well after he made the shot.
He's really a terrific athlete. He's going to get better and better.
This is the
right there. Come on now, give White a lot of credit. He's right on top of him.
The 27-year-old former All-Star and former All-Defensive player has tons of interest around the league, just not in Atlanta. The Hawks have made it known that almost everyone on the team is available in trade talks, and DeJounte Murray has a lot of suitors. The Hawks gave up 3 first-round picks plus an additional first-round pick swap to acquire him, so they'll likely want a decent return if they move him, with the goal of being able to retool quickly around Trae Young. And the number 1 most likely player to be traded by the NBA trade deadline is...
Flash into the elbow for AD, out to Russell. 3 on the clock, got to get busy and launch. It's been that type of night.
All right, so he's got, I think, back-to-back threes here that we're going to show you. I believe at the end...
The Lakers are in trouble, barely hanging on to hopes of getting into a play-in spot, and D'Angelo Russell's contract may be their ticket to retooling the roster. Shipping out his $17.3 million salary, packaging it with a draft pick, and maybe other salary filler could help give the roster a much-needed boost. The only problem is, after this season, D'Angelo still has a player option for $18.7 million, so his contract will likely not be viewed as a positive asset. However, if the Lakers can use him to take back an albatross contract, like one that Zach LaVine has, then it would be seen as a positive, because it would help a team like Chicago free up a lot of money. And from LA's perspective, maybe it would make sense to take a swing for a star like Zach LaVine while his price is low. Regardless, one thing is for sure, the Lakers can't afford to stay pat in what could technically be LeBron's final season in LA, considering he has a player option for next season.